I want to talk to you about camera uptilt and the effect of camera uptilt on your multirotor's flight characteristics. And I'm going to do that here in FPV Freerider because in FPV Freerider I can change the camera uptilt angle very easily and demonstrate the different effects without having to do any physical modification of my copter. By the way, if you haven't checked out FPV Freerider, it is a pretty decent FPV multirotor quadcopter simulator. I think you could really learn to fly on it. It took a little getting used to. It doesn't fly exactly like my copter does, but no two copters fly exactly the same. And once I got dialed in, it really felt a lot like flying the real thing. So there's a free version. You can download it and check it out. I definitely think it's worth it. The full version costs $5. It's pretty good, and I'm enjoying it, and I recommend it. So currently I am at 0 degrees up tilt. Let's go into the meadow and let's see what that does. So here we are in the meadow. I've got 0 degrees up tilt on the camera, and the horizon is in the middle of the screen. And of course, as I begin to fly forward, the horizon takes up most of the screen. I'm looking at the ground. Can't really see where I'm going very well. We can do that coordinating turns exercise I described in a previous video, where I yaw to the right, and you can see that the horizon turns to the right, and I can use the roll stick to level it out. And if I'm flat, the horizon doesn't really change at all. Okay? So what we can see from here is the more pitched forward I am, the more the horizon is going to roll. Here I'm pitched just a little forward, and the horizon rolls just a little bit as I turn. Whereas if I pitch way forward, the horizon's going to roll a lot as I turn. Okay, and that's going to be true regardless of the up tilt. But of course, with more up tilt, there's more of a tendency to be pitched forward. So now let's say 30 degrees of up tilt. Now you can see that the horizon's starting out much lower in the screen, and as I take off, I'm going to naturally tend to put the horizon in the middle of the screen, and I'm pitched further forward now. I'm pitched about 35 degrees forward, since that's what my camera up tilt is. And if I just get set up here on a pass with the horizon about in the middle of the screen and to roll to the right, you can see there's a lot more tendency for the horizon to tilt, and I need to put more roll in to compensate for that. So now let's fly forward, and let's put in enough roll to pitch to turn flat. Now I'm turning flat, and there's just a little bit of roll put in. Let me come back down here. If I pitch way forward and roll, I'm going to need a lot more roll to create that flat turn. Because I'm pitched more forward, therefore more roll is required to compensate. So the more pitched forward I am, the more roll I need to input when I'm turning. And as I said in my coordinated turns video, if we take an extreme example where I pitch all the way forward, I would turn exclusively with roll, no yaw, but that's of course never going to happen in real life. So one of the things you'll find when you start playing with uptilt is that the more uptilt you have, the more roll you need to put in to coordinate your turns, and it'll feel very out of sorts at first. If we go to 45 degrees uptilt, and then we'll go to the meadow again, now we can't even see the ground when we're flat. And if I take off and pitch forward to put the horizon in the middle of the screen, now I need a lot of roll and even some pitch back to coordinate these turns. Just a lot of roll. And also notice that I'm using more throttle to maintain altitude. So the more up tilt there is, the more pitch forward you're going to get, the more throttle you're going to need to maintain altitude. And you'll notice that I'm turning almost exclusively with the roll stick with very little yaw input here, because I'm pitched so far forward. And as I let the horizon take up more and more of the screen, the throttle goes further and further up. The copter is pitched further and further forward, and I'm using more and more roll to affect the turns and less yaw. So now, notice I'm still maintaining altitude. I'm actually starting to lose altitude a little. I'm running out of throttle. I got to pitch back a little. I'm pitching forward and I'm using more and more roll. Just a little bit of yaw. Let's see if I can get to full throttle here. There you go. I'm at full throttle right now. So now I'm using just the pitch to maintain my altitude. I'm pitching back if I need to gain altitude and pitching forward to lose altitude. I have no more throttle left and pretty much exclusively roll to do these turns, just the tiniest bit of yaw. I'm going to center the yaw stick so you see what happens if I do that. Now oh, there we go, I lost it. Okay. So just as a way of comparing there, let's go back to 0 degrees up tilt and let's just feel that out. So again, I'm going to take off and I'm going to pitch forward and I'm going to start doing that same thing. It's very hard to avoid climbing here. You see, I'm pitched forward and I'm trying to do these turns, but it's very hard to avoid climbing to get the throttle up without climbing. You see, I want to get the throttle up so I can fly faster, but if I do that, I start to climb. And if I want to counteract that, I need to pitch forward. But in order to pitch forward enough to not climb, I have to kind of be staring straight at the ground with 0 degrees up tilt. So here we go. There we go. I'm flying in a circle. I'm at about half throttle, and I'm basically looking straight at the ground. Right? That's the effect of up tilt. Not having enough up tilt. Okay. So, hope that was interesting. Hope that was helpful. The short version of it is, if you want to fly faster, more up tilt is how to do it. Otherwise, you're just going to gain altitude when you increase the throttle instead of going faster forward. And the more up tilt you've got, the more roll you need and the less yaw you need in order to coordinate your turns. But definitely try the exercise I gave you, where you fly forward, you yaw to the side, and then you put in enough roll to coordinate that out and make a nice flat turn, or maybe even roll into the turn a little bit by adding a little more roll. Alrighty, enjoy. Bye-bye.